though, lately there hasn't been any decent horror movies or thrillers going around. I mean, they're so few and far between, and then you'll sit there committing to a 2-hour movie only to be disappointed in the end. Sometimes the best stories are short and sweet, and that's why I love channels like Alter. Alter, Omletto, Crypt TV, and many others, including the SCP Foundation channels like Oddity and Dr. Bob, are my new favorite forms of entertainment, because I love monsters and I love creepy stuff, especially when it has to do with monsters, and you can't hardly find any movies on that. You have to go back into the prehistoric past of entertainment to find the good stuff. And the main mistake is that people are so concerned with there being a happy ending, they no longer are satisfied with a movie being good, even if it has a bad ending or a sad ending. I've heard people say that movies are freaking terrible just because the ending is sad, and I'm like, bro, but realistically, what would happen? The scariest part of horror movies is when you don't understand the monster, or you don't know what happens, or the danger factor is still at 100%. And this is what this short film provides. We start the opening sequence with what looks like some dinosaurian cockroaches crawling across the floor, and one of the guys wakes up. Apparently, they have both been secretly conspiring to make an escape, like Shawshank Redemption. The main guy goes under his bed to continue digging until he finds a way out. He made what looks like a scarecrow out of his, I mean, it looks like pubic hair to me, but could be his beard, one of his hats, and clay. I'm guessing that clay is from the place that he started digging out from. Him and the other guy have been working together for a while. The other guy will keep a lookout and also work the pulley system that they both made so that he can bring him back some more dishes so he could put material in to bring out. If they're digging underground, the dirt's gotta go somewhere, right? And that's probably why he made that doll. He could have been using pillows before, and then he decided that, well, the clay's gotta go someplace, so I'll just use it to make into a doll that kind of looks like me. For people who are claustrophobic, this may be a very nerve-inducing situation, but when you're trapped and you have no choice, or you really, really want to get free, you'll do anything. Most of this segment of the movie is just showing how the police system works, showing what he's doing, and then finally, the guy opens up a hole on the other side. Fresh air comes through. Well, it's not exactly fresh. And the guy doesn't say anything, but you can tell it's putrid air because he's covering his mouth. He opens up the hole bigger to see if he can see what's out there. It's probably the sewer system, and he's probably going to use that to get through. Kind of like what the guy did in Shawshank Redemption. The hole is ominous to us as the audience because it's completely dark there. We don't know if it's outside or if it leads into another part of the prison. And then we see it's a cave system with some weird liquid on the ground. Now where is he gonna go? We're thinking, all right, that's weird. I've seen a human skull there somewhere, which is kind of awkward. Yes! Why is there a human skull? The guy does the best thing, and he shines the light around to try and see if he can find a way out or if there's anything around. And he finds something, all right. He finds something real strange. In the darkness, he can see a silhouette, or at least feels the presence of something that runs by him. And he's wondering what the hell that was. And then we as the audience sees a silhouette of a human being bent down, drinking the dirty sewage water, or whatever hell kind of water that is, and then it pops up. It's obviously not totally human. The thing looks like it's covered in mud or has saggy, leathery skin, and you think the guy's about to pop back in there because he's like, nope, forget this. Let's cover this hole back up right square. Let me go jack myself and go to sleep and just deal with the fact that I'm going to be here for a long time because I don't want to be next to whatever the hell that is. But before he can even make a decision or react, another one of these things decided to eat him. Poor dude, so close yet so far. His friend tries to help, but when he tries to pull back the rope that snapped previously, all that came back was a bloody flashlight. And I'm just praying that the friend will make it out alive, that he won't get stuck. Because now there's a hole leading into this place that can fit a human body through, and these things can also come through. And it's not like they can get out of the prison. These guys are stuck in here, or at least now this one is stuck in there. As he pulls the flashlight back, he feels something wet on the flashlight, and he turns the light towards his hands and sees that it's the blood of his partner. Oh dear God. Before the guy can even make a motion to move, he sees something in the background. And I love the way they filmed this because, dude, I was expecting to see something coming up through the tunnel, but I didn't expect it to be that freaking close. Don't know why freaking Prego sauce splattered. That's not how blood works, but okay. Unless that came out of his ass, there is no way possible that the blood would have made a splatter like that in that direction. It's a closed-in tunnel. Whatever. I don't even want to think about it. That's nasty. And that's the end. And that's the horror movie. Wasn't it awesome? Okay, these things are ugly as shit. And aside from the costume looking like somebody who's wrapped up in a leather tarp, the monsters are pretty cool. It would have looked more realistic, though, if they didn't have the white stuff coming out of their eyes, because it just looks like somebody took some dough and, like, poked 2 holes in that thing. This thing looks freaking nasty, dude. Like, I can't even look at it for too long. It's freaking skeevil. But I walked away with this feeling fulfilled because you don't watch a lot of movies that keep you afraid or keep you wondering. And the one thing I'm wondering is, you guessed it, what are these monsters? What the hell is this thing? Why do they look like that? How do they get sharp teeth? Why are there more of them? The first thing to note, these creatures are clearly carnivorous. Their teeth are sharp. They don't seem to have any teeth that are used for chomping or crushing, just tearing. The other thing to notice about the creatures is that they have no eyes, or their eyes are very sunken in. It is possible they've also lost the ability to see. I've seen old people that look like this. Nasty. It doesn't mean that they can't see whatsoever, but after many generations, or if these creatures have been down here for a long period of time, they wouldn't any longer need sight because it's totally dark. Remember, the light source that we saw in the cave was coming from our escapee here. Previous to opening up this hole, there was no light whatsoever inside of it. This was total darkness. But somehow the creatures knew exactly where he was, which means they must hunt via smell or vibrations. The other thing that's obvious is that they do eat. So we've seen skulls down there before. It's possible other prisoners have tried to escape. But other than that, what would these creatures eat enough for them to sustain their mass? They don't look emaciated, even though their skin looks very baggy and leathery. So they must have some sort of food source down there. Or they can go long periods without food. They're also human-shaped or humanoid in appearance. It's possible that their thick leathery skin is to protect them from the moisture in those deep dark cave areas. And their human shape simply tells me that they were humans at one point. This is like Shawshank Redemption meets Descent, or The Descent, or whatever it's called. It was a cave movie, a cave horror, with kind of the same premise. Now this is the closest look we have at the creature. We see based on its profile here that even from the side, it does look very human. Its proportions are very human. As it opens up its mouth, we notice that its mouth actually is much larger than that of a regular human. It opens wider, or skin that used to probably at one point connect the face together or the jaws together, like we have closed in cheeks and we don't have mouths that look like dog mouths, came loose or opened up so they could eat or swallow their prey whole. Like I said, creatures like humans, deer, horses, and many vegetarian animals usually have much smaller mouths or smaller openings because they need to contain food that they're grinding up in the back of their mouths, like vegetables. Animals that eat meat just have to tear and swallow. Birds do the same thing, but humans need to chew, and you can't have an open mouth like this or that of a dog's and chew adequately with food falling out the side of your mouth. That's why our mouths are enclosed. That's why we have cheeks. Animals are carnivores like dogs will do a motion of chewing to make food more malleable so they can tear off a huge piece and swallow it. Herbivorous animals like cows have cheeks where they can chew and none of their food or liquid comes out while they are chewing until their food is liquidy enough or soft enough so it can be easier on their digestive system. That's why humans can get indigestion if they just eat their food and don't chew it enough, and that's why the doctor tells you chew your food 26 times, and you're like, oh, nobody's gonna sit there chewing a bite for 26 freaking. So they're 100% carnivores. They're also very primal in nature because it seems as though they just find something that moves and they eat it. I mean, it's not like they're gonna find anything that's bigger than a human being, but they now feed on other humans. They've killed other humans before, so they know what humans are like. They know what food smells like. It's possible that the creature was trying to locate where our friend here was, and that's why it didn't attack him right away. Let's take off the possibility that this is in fact a little horror movie, so they had to make it jump scary, but notice how it was standing by the opening, and only when the guy moved, shone the light on the thing, and make that little bit of movement did it then close in on his location. It felt the heat source as well, from the light, as well as the human body. Now, how did it know to go for the neck? Well, it probably knows that's where the creature's head is. This creature can probably smell the human's breath, or wherever he detects warmth, he bites. These things are probably also experts at hunting humans, so this is not the first time they've done this. Now, we know its diet, we know why it does what it does, because it's hungry and it's trying to survive, but what are they? They probably are a lot like the crawlers from the 2005 horror film that I talked about called The Descent, and The Descent Part 2. The crawlers are described as a race of cave-dwelling humanoids who have adapted to near constant darkness and lost any previous trace of humanity that they might have had, becoming monsters in the process. When you're stuck in a cave and there's no darkness, you've never seen light for many years, you've had to probably eat your own babies or rats or whatever you can find down there, not only would it drive you insane, but you would devolve back into your primitive mindset. Being that the creatures from this short horror film seem heavily inspired from the 2005 monsters and The Descent, they probably have the same origin, meaning they're probably cave people who diverged from the rest of humanity at some point in the evolutionary chain. Remember how people say cavemen became what we are today because one brave caveman decided to not be a crude, go against his nature, and step out of the cave and be brave and to explore the world around him. Maybe there were a lot of humans that remained in caves and then became this. So it's possible this is the same situation here. Also, I was thinking before, they could be people that were just lost in there, but they would not have evolved so differently. I mean, look at the creatures from The Descent. They still look like humans, but just very ugly orc-looking humans. But these things look nothing like humans aside from them having the same proportions and appendages that humans have. They have very big, ugly sack potato heads, but extremely sharp teeth. Their teeth are so sharp, it makes me believe that they have spent thousands upon thousands upon thousands of years evolving with those sharp teeth. There's no trace of them being humans aside from them standing on two legs and having arms and hands and looking like humans. Honestly, I think these creatures probably would have looked a lot differently, but they had to find someone who would fit inside a suit. But it makes sense that these are very far distant humans that, well, never became Homo sapiens. They're a different evolutionary chain of cavemen who've completely evolved to survive in total darkness and underground. I mean, this prison was built over this place and these creatures were totally sealed in, which tells me that they've been here probably longer than the prison has. So that's what I think these monsters are. Just really distant, horrible human-looking things. At this point, human beings are probably closer in relationship to primates than they are to these soft potato things. Now for the next question. How would you survive the situation if you were the second prisoner? It's almost unfair to do a theory on this because it's not like it's the guy's fault. He could not have known there were going to be some subterranean demon mud people down there while he was trying to find his way out. So it's possible that fate was always sealed for him. For the second character, is it possible he could have survived the situation? Well, yes. Understandably, the second guy was trying to hurry and find his friend, but as soon as he called out to his friend and saw that he was nowhere in sight, you don't go down without a weapon or something into a hole where your friend is just lying there. As soon as I hear a scream and that guy is there, I'm gonna try and be like, look, let me try and get someone's attention. I know you don't want to make it seem as though you're trying to escape, but the goose is already cooked. This is a lot bigger than just you. The next thing that he did wrong is he picked up the flashlight and then started looking at his hands. He is moving way too slow. I don't get what the deal is, but in that situation, I'm gonna be highly freaking alert. I'm gonna take the flashlight and shine it back down the tunnel immediately so I can see where my friend is or what's going on before I even figure out that there's blood on there. If you need to feel wetness, you can look down at the flashlight really quick, but him looking down at his hands and staring at them as though he's never seen blood ever before, that's stupid. It takes you all of half a second to realize there's blood on your hands. Put the flashlight back up the tunnel. Now, I know I see these monsters would take a long time getting up the tunnel because it's possible that these creatures also have the ability to dig, so they could probably scoot themselves down that tunnel real tight, real fast. Faster than a pool boy Chad sliding into your mom. So time is of the essence, and he would have seen that his friend is down there, disappeared, or that something was crawling back up in the tunnel. He would have had time to back out, take his head out of the hole, and use the mattress or some other clothes or things to stuff up the area while calling for help. A prisoner making noise in a racket in the middle of the night when everyone's supposed to be sleeping would draw the attention of the guards. If not, the other prisoners are there sleeping. I don't know if the beds can be turned over. They're probably nailed to the ground or something, but the mattresses are not. Neither are the pillows or the sheets, which you could use to stuff down there. At least it would put some barrier between you and the creatures who were crawling up the tunnel. Now, what could happen is that the creatures could pull the sheet back towards the out or far interior of that hole or that tunnel that the guy dug, and then come back up the tunnel, but that would still give you a little bit of time. Scream out something like, "He's escaping!" And all that could buy you time enough for the guards to come down. I don't know how the guy's got a flashlight, but you could also use the flashlight as a weapon. Use it to beat the shit out of the creatures. Now, they may have a higher pain tolerance or thicker skin and skulls than regular humans do, but at least it's something. There are also pots or some little metal pans that they also had in the pulley system. You can also use that to make up a lot of noise to alert the guards, or possibly to defend yourself if the creature tries to come at you. The easiest thing in this case to do is to put yourself up against the creature and something between the creature's teeth and you. Its hands are probably strong enough to crush you or or bruise you, but what the real danger is are those freaking terrible teeth. As soon as those teeth latch onto you, you're goner. So it is possible that the second guy could have survived. What this would mean for the rest of the world, I don't know. But that's my assessment. This was an awesome freaking horror movie, man. I mean, people are saying in the comments that they want it to be a full-featured movie. I don't think it needs to be. I think 8 minutes is good enough. There are some movies that probably wouldn't do as well as full-featured films. There are some movies that are just good as they are. The concept itself is more scary than the actual movie would have been. And I find that shorter things are a lot more memorable than very long things. But anyways, what did you guys think about this? If you want to see it for yourself, the link is in the description or the card. Thanks so much for watching. This has been Ultiori. You ask, we answer.